with the first ever Formula One race back in 1950. Now the endurance bikes were out on the extremely fast full GP circuit and qualifying in typical British weather. A mixture of sun and rain and combined qualifying times meant that the riders who were able to get dry sessions could make a big difference to their team's positions on the grid. As Silverstone was a 200-mile event, most teams elected to use only 2 riders, but the teams with 3 pilots had an extra man to put out in the dry third qualifying session, and team manager and rider Christophe Guillot took full advantage of it and put the GMT in pole position.
It's true that for this race, for 200 miles race, the pole is not very, very important. I know that phase 1 and Zhongshan with 2 boys will be very, very, very dangerous, and I'm sure of this. But I'm sure that the battle will be very fun.
The track was new to nearly everyone in the paddock, but the number 2 Zhongshan bike, which qualified in second, had extra help from Aussie Warwick Nolan's local knowledge.
Everybody thought everyone was here for the first time, and I went out yesterday and took off like a scalded cat and was quicker. So I didn't tell anyone I've actually been here before. I've done a couple of British Supersport races here, but on the other circuit, the shorter circuit. So no, it's not. It's my 3rd race meeting here, and it's a fantastic track, fantastic facility, and just, you know, England's such a great place for racing. It's just a shame the weather causes a few worries.
And 3rd was one of the best ever qualifying positions for the French team of DAP Unison Motormax.
We have a 3rd rider, Jean-François Cortinovis, who made a very, very good qualify on the last station, and that puts us on the 3rd position. It's a very good result for all the team because we work a lot.
So in qualifying, GMT see themselves in pole position with the first Zhongshan team behind them in 2nd, DAP Motormax in 3rd, and QB Phase 1 in 4th. Track days, the highest placed wildcard in 6th place, with Chris Burns riding for them. Further down the grid, Bollinger in 11th, Hot Tracks, another very good qualifying position for a local team, but Wim Motors down again in 15th place. Not very good qualifying for the Dutch team. So the Sunday race day dawned sunny, but with all teams keeping a wary eye on the weather, and the local wildcard teams were hoping that local knowledge would, as usual, give them a big advantage over the World Endurance regulars. Racing on the full GP track at Silverstone, the track 3.194 miles long, that's 5.14 kilometres, and the calendar ahead of us sees no more 200 milers until the end of the season. We've had Imola, this is Silverstone, next to come the 6 hours of Brno in June, then in August the Suzuka round, the 8 hours there, and Oschersleben, the 24 hours, the big one on August the 11th, and finishing off at Vallelunga with the final 200 mile of the season. The race teams all lined up in the typical endurance start. The bike's 45 degrees to the track and parks up on the right hand side of the track as you go down, and a lot of people down on the track. This is very, very important, and the first time the World Endurance has really sprung to life in the UK, and the wildcards, as I said, taking full advantage of it. One of the track days machines is co-sponsored by Brownstone, and Chris Burns, one of the riders on here, very, very well known in the UK, and knows this track particularly very well indeed. But your pole position man there will be leading the GMT 94 machine away from the front, Sebastian Scarnato on the Suzuki GSXR 1000. In 2nd place, the number 2 Zhongshan machine, and in 3rd place, this is the DAP Unison Motormax machine with Piero van Steyen on board, and the glamour down on the pits is just one of the benefits that many of these riders have when they come out to race in World Endurance. Spike Edwards on the number 3 Phase 1 machine in 4th place on the grid. Looking forward to this, and Spike, I must admit, getting faster and faster as the races click down. In 5th place it will be Igor German on the Zhongshan number 9 machine. Igor very proud of his appearance, as you can well see, and in 5th place, as I said, and right next to him on the grid, Chris Burns, the number 55 Brownstone Track Day Suzuki, working very well indeed around here, and Chris out to make an impression on the World Superbike regulars. As we go down the pits, down the long straight here where the bikes are parked up, the number 22 Police machine in 13th, Gwen Giovanni there on the Kawasaki, then the Herman Verboven number 6 machine, Wim down in 15th place, not very good for them. Schaffer Endurance in 16th. The number 18 Yamaha Austria team with Horst Zeiger taking that bike out. The number 12 Swedish team of Fagerjol, Yamaha R1 Sport Production, and 16 Pineapple Ducati, all in view there. Quick look down at these bikes all ready to go. They have tyre warmers on, but the tyre warmers in endurance come off fairly early, so when you really do go for it on the first lap, you have to remind yourself that these tyres are particularly cold, and a lot colder than you would find in World Superbikes, because they've had 2 warm-up laps, but the bikes have been standing for quite a while, and so in fact have the riders. The race due to go at exactly 2 o'clock, and the final checks are given. You have to check your helmet as the riders all wait for the off at exactly 2 o'clock. The 200-miler of Silverstone will start. The first person on the machine was Sebastian Scarnato. The number 94 has got a great start, but going with him is also Warwick Noland on the number 2 machine. Igor Sherman in there, number 9 as well. And looking down, not a very good start for Wim Motors, who were mired at the beginning. I think somebody balked them at the beginning of the start there. But already GMT out in front. Warwick Nolan will want to do something about that immediately and get a clear track in front of him, which he has done. Warwick Nolan goes to the front now. GMT in second. Igor Sherman in third place. And look at that, Spike Edwards already fighting hard. There's nothing that keeps Spike from going fast early in the race. He's already up to fourth place and doesn't want the 2 Zongshen machines and also GMT, which is traditionally one of their big rivals, to get away from them. And right at the back of the track, the only prototype machine in the class today, a TL1000S type Suzuki V-twin from Team Cyclo, and as they go round on the first lap, reminder that the tyres are relatively cold. It's a very good track here at Silverstone, very grippy indeed. There have been a couple of worries about the ripples that are built up on the track by the Formula 1 machines, who come round here and brake around about 50 metres into a corner, whereas these bikes are braking twice or sometimes 3 times that distance into a corner. Positions being sorted out in the first part of the lap. As the first lap is completed, Warwick Nolan screams across the start and finish straights. And behind him, the battle starts to hot up over second as Spike Edwards closes in on the number 9 machine of Igor Sherman. A little bit further down, we see the number 10 machine just gone past your picture, and Wim Motors, number 1, still in the middle of the pack, not having a very good time here. But out in front, the Zongshen boys are first and third, and only split by phase 1 at the moment. Mikkel very happy with that.
Yeah, we work a lot during between Imola and Silverstone, mainly for the road holding, and now we got a good result. So I'm glad to see that if we work, it's not for nothing.
But Spike Edwards is going to do something about it. He's going faster and faster on track at the moment.
And Edwards still...
Yeah, 3 fastest laps in a row, 54.5, 54.5, 53.8, so it's nice. Closing in on Warwick in first place, and we're about 0.3, 0.4 behind at the moment.
And Warwick Nolan, Spike Edwards and Igor Sherman almost together on the track and pulling away from third place GMT Sebastian Scarnato on the GMT 94 machine, the Herman Verboven, Dave Estock on the number 5 machine behind him, and just behind them the Brownstone track days of Chris Burns managing to stay with some of the regulars. But you can see a gap starting to open up now over fourth place GMT and Sebastian Scarnato, as the rejuvenated, I will say, Zongshen squad have finally put all their gremlins of the past 3 years behind them and are starting to push very hard at the beginning of this race. But Spike Edwards, the man in your picture at the moment, this man is just getting faster and faster, and just as he turns his head, he has to flip the visor down, because it does tend to pull up when it gets into the wind stream here. But still problems for the number 1 machine, the Wim Motors. They are going fast. They've also solved a couple of their problems, but it's going past Andy Notman on the Swedish team Fagerjol Yamaha R1. Heinz Platarsis seems to be a little bit happier with the handling of that big Honda SP2 machine. The leaders closing up on each other now, and Spike not letting Warwick Nolan get away from him. In fact, he is starting to close that distance now. And Spike at the moment, yes, you can see how close he is, starting to reel in Warwick Nolan. And Warwick should be aware of this if he's reading his pit boards correctly, that Spike Jones is definitely closing up. Spike's doing, and one of the first casualties of the afternoon is the Bikeshire machine, James Buckingham, pushing the bike in with an obviously dead engine. And it's a long way to push this machine, and seeing as the Bikeshire pit lane, pit garage is right up the other end of the pit lane, the mechanics are going to have to run down and give him a push. But these are your leaders at the moment, and you can see that Spike Edwards is not giving up on Warwick Nolan, pushing him and keeping him honest for this long 200 miler. But the rear tyre starts to say, maybe you're at your limit, Spike, and there is the possibility that Phase 1 have put in a secret weapon on their bike, a super sticky rear, and Spike, I think, will be staying out for as long as he can. But when that rear starts to go off, they do go off. Herman Verboven, their pit starting to get ready for Dave Estock to come in, waiting as the 94 machine sweeps, but having to pick up a little there. The World Endurance regular significantly faster than Roger Walton's machine. And Edwards has decided to come in.
Tried something this morning, but I think it must be just a little bit warmer or something that's different, and it wasn't working quite as we wanted to. I managed to catch Warwick, and I got in front of him and tried to slow the pace down, but he knows what the story was, so he passed again, and then it was just about trying to maintain a good pace.
Mike Edwards a little bit unhappy with his tyres, which didn't seem to be working in the race as they were in qualifying. Fred Moreira is out on the track now on the Phase 1 bike, taking over and chasing Stefan Mertens, and the two bikes that were together before are together again, but albeit with different riders. And we're just hearing over the trackside radio that the Herman Verboven number 5 bike has high-sided somewhere out on the track, and I suspect that was just about to pit as well. And Mertens cracking on, but Frederic Moreira, well versed in the art of endurance racing, drafts him, slips out, is looking for a place to pass the number 2 Zongshen machine. Current leader is Zongshen number 9, Igor German, but he has to make his pit stop as well. And Frederic Moreira has gone past, although he's not leading on the road. This is very significant. Stefan Mertens now behind the Phase 1 machine. Now remember, these two people have made their pit stop, so in effect, once it's counted down, they will be leading the race. Frederic Moreira in perfect position to try to extend the advantage that Spike Edwards has given him. The number 9 machine comes into the pits. Igor German about to get off, and Bruno Bonoy about to take over. Igor German having a little bit of a problem with the seat as the tyres are changed. The fuel goes in, takes longer than Formula 1 because you have to remove the axle on these machines. Bruno Bonoy will jump on the machine and take it out of pit lane.
Yeah, quite. So the tire was pretty bad on the rear, so I tried very hard. Then almost at the end I lost my seat, so I caught it and put it back. I lost a few precious seconds, but I could manage to go on, so I'm quite happy.
Dave Estock hands the bike over to Mike Chicotto. Dave, after having a high side on the very last lap just before he came into the pits.
Yeah, I went a little too fast in the beginning and burnt my tires, so I tried to settle into a pace and kept getting past, and that was frustrating me. And so towards the end, when the tires were so bad, I kind of settled into a pace and went okay and signaled that I was coming in, and like an idiot, I high-sided on my last lap out there and screwed up.
A really unhappy Dave Estock there. He thinks he's let the team down. Phase 1, Frederic Moreira, now the current leaders. Now this is after Stefan Mertens has signalled that he's coming in for his second pit stop, and here he comes in after a very short stint. It's the second pit stop. He will hand that over now to Warwick Nolan, who will take the bike to finish the 200 miles here at Silverstone. So it means that phase one are now leading. And there's Frederic Moreira out on the track, and he has also signalled that he's about to come in. So with those bikes now back in, it looks like it's Igor German to take over from Bruno Bonoy. He'll have to come in very shortly as well, which will make GMT 94 the current leaders. Yes, the number 9 machine is in. Igor German making sure the seat is secure this time before he goes out on the bike. And GMT 94, the current leaders, Willem Costes. There's Willem. And William still has to make one more pit stop. So as these laps come down, you'll find that GMT 94 won't be in the lead. Neither will this machine, the number 91 DAP Unison Motormax machine. Ran into the pits with lots of noise coming from its gearbox, and that is Willem Kost about to bring the machine in. GMT 94 in, and the man who put in the fastest qualifying time was Christophe Guillot, team manager and rider. 2 jobs for this man. So Christophe, having put in the fastest time in qualifying, will have to take this bike out for its last stint. He is very, very fast, but can he do anything about Warwick Noland? Warwick being the current leader, and there he is on the track at the moment. Behind him will be phase one, but Warwick is starting to stretch that lead over phase one, working his tyre real hard. You can see the tyre skipping around underneath him. And there is phase one at the moment, just behind Christophe Guillot. Christophe Guillot getting out in front of Spike Edwards. This is the battle on the track over second place. And Spike will not want to let him get away. That's Russell Baker. Russell Baker on the Infinimoto number 20 throws it down the road. This is fairly close to the end of the race. Now he can get that up, and remember these bikes have electric starters, so if he can start it again and nothing is wrong with the gear lever on the side of the bike which has gone down, it seems to be okay. Although he's looking down at it, he is able to get the bike moving again. But your current leader and stretching away, Warwick Noland on the number 2 machine.
Stefan on this track was a little bit slower, don't feel on ease on this track, so we choose to shorten his really. He did the minimum on Warwick, who is really the fastest, the relay, and no, the strategy is good, he's leading.
Able to maintain that lead as well, coming into the last lap now. This is Warwick Noland, and stretched that lead he has, nearly 22 seconds in front of the second place battle, and that battle still raging as we speak, as Warwick finishes his last lap and looks over his shoulder, about to cross the line for a very famous victory for the Zongshen team. This is what they've been working for 3 years now, the top of the podium, and Warwick Noland has done it for the Zongshen team. Crosses the line as the flag waves. Zongshen have scored a famous victory right here at Silverstone, the team, and of course Stefan Mertens there, absolutely ecstatic. Second place goes to Spike Edwards, who did manage to win that battle over GMT 94, as we see Christophe Guillot bring the GMT machine back in third place. Zongshen Team 2 and Zongshen Team 9 occupying second and third places in the World Championship. Cubic Carbon Phase 1 still lead though by 7 points. GMT down in 5th and Herman Verboven in 4th. But standing on the top step of the podium, Zongshen, it's the place they've been after for the past 3 years. And from now on, will we see the Chinese flag fly more often above the number 1 position on the podium? Will we see it at Brno on the 16th of June? Join us. This is Warwick Noland, who posted a high 2 minute and 6 seconds.